The Arknights anime is amazing, racism and sticking together to fight against a greater threat. But I'm just a smooth-brained idiot who likes shiny things. So let's pick apart the show and spoiler ahead. So we picked up a little bit later from the last season, and if you want to know what happened, go watch my last video. We follow these three who's called Frostleaf, Meteorite, and Sadcat. And not even a minute in after telling them to avoid direct conflict, Sadcat started getting trigger happy. Saw that stealth was optional and fired on bro immediately. Meteorite snipes the dude in the back and Frostleaf jumps in for the squad wipe. She could not do this in the game, I'll tell you that. So we cut back to Amiya still trying to cope with what she has done in the last season. And to take her minds off things, she went back to China. And let me just say that they did not do these massive landship justice. I promise you, she did not just round the corner like that to go see Chen. This trip had to be of at least a few hours. But while Amiya was out, we got called in by Kalzit, and I personally haven't read past chapter 13, so I don't really know what she got against us. But look at this gaze. This is the type of look your mom gives you when you forgot to thaw the chicken. But she basically told us to take care of Amiya better and make sure her rings don't break. So we cut back to the 3-woman squad, and they're finally doing their objective. But it turns out the boss had already known they were there and kickstarted a fight. So Amiya and them went back to Chernobyl to bail them out. Somehow, these 3 guys caused the LGD to stay behind as the 2 of us venture onward. Like, it was shown last season that Hoshiguma can easily body these fools. Anyways, we tracked their location data and realized it's getting cold in the middle of summer. Something's not right, and before we could discern the situation, the randoms pulled up to jump again. Frostleaf jumps down and one-shot these dudes. Again, these are meant to be non-lethal attacks, but judging by the way their bodies were flying. So we finally regroup and have enough people to queue up for that 5-man. Unfortunately, Sadcat is freaking out right now, and this was when I started hating this kid. Like, no amount of backstory is gonna save you from burning corpses and displaying them up like art pieces. I don't even know how he got the bodies up there. Amiya confronts him about it, but before they got to fighting, the boss arena started changing. Whoa, why is it snowing in the middle of July? Amiya, we gotta go right now. What? Why? Cause she's... Oh nah. Look at how they're walking in. She even got this dude narrating as if he was me. The 2 were pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place. And maybe I'm reaching a bit, but doesn't this look familiar? But turns out, a lot of people hate on this kid. But Amiya isn't interested in sticking around for this. They somehow teleport us to safety. Now, remember how I said she has this thing called empathy? Well, that's literally one of her powers. She's basically an empath out here saying, I can feel it. Her fear, anger, intense sadness. Yeah, me too, and I don't need powers to see that. But one thing is different is that she can also absorb your emotions. Now that we rescued the 3, their next objective is to regroup with the LGD. So they had to sprint across this massive shield. No wonder you're lagging behind. She was lucky she didn't sprain her ankles when she fell. Amiya tries to block the attack with her supercharged arts again, but Frost Nova hits her with the wow the entire song. Before we could even get a break, Chen radios us in on what's happening. Hey, change of plans? We are not gonna group anymore, cause Lungman's kinda on fire right now. And I don't know who's aiming at her here, but Chen got snuck by a mortar shell. She later woke up at Rhodes Island, and we're gonna skip forward a bit. Chen gets a call from an informant who's currently being beat up at the warehouse. So they hurried over to save him, and this was when we learned that Hoshiguma used to be in a gang. And the informant was someone who worked under her. They get to the warehouse and Hoshi says, just give me 3 minutes. Casually bends steel and proceeds to body the soldier. Sit down. Oh, spin kick. Yeah, you want some too? This guy hit the wall so hard it cracked. He's never walking again. Unfortunately, they did not make it in time, and the informant is already on death's door. But before he passed on, he tells Chen where Reunion is hiding, and Hoshiguma carried him to their old hideout. They done messed up, cause now it's time for their get back. They blew the shopping mall entrance, completely disorienting the chain of command. Chen snuck this guy, and Hoshi dropped down, parries, gut check. Oh, you didn't get enough? Gut checks him again, and notice the body armor. You gotta be built differently to punch through Kevlar. The mage gotta get away. Oh, just kidding. Speed break. That must have been at least a 12-foot horizontal, but the mage hit him with a, "This is for my friends." Getting knocked out twice in one episode is crazy. Good thing Hoshi is insanely strong, being able to hold up this giant slab of concrete and then throwing it aside. Unfortunately, this is the last time we get to see her in the anime. They had to bench the star player because things were getting too easy. Reunion pulls up for another jumping, but this time, Chance decides to show them why she's been getting the spotlight this season. To my disappointment, they cut the fight. But now, they surround the last building. Everyone's preparing for the Twin Tower retake, but once the CGI soldiers charge in, they notice that everyone was already down. They busted into the control center and realized it was free for the taking. "Captain, something's up with these guys. It's like they're not fully there." This is when we saw him again, so you know he's up to something devious. Chance decides to solo queue once again, clearly not learning from her past mistakes. Now, at first I was like, damn, these dudes are trash, this is free LP. But something's wrong. Mephisto is smiling, and arrows are still flying. Damn, at this point, I'll probably lose. Now watch the Sung Jin Woo impression. Wiki. Mephisto casts some white mist cloud that accelerates the infection in the body, turning them all into zombies. And somehow, they were overwhelming trained military soldiers. Like, these dudes died in the most avoidable death. Chen got sniped at some more and dropped her weapon. She tries to pull her other sword out, but the sword deems her unworthy. So then she shot, "Is that a Hadouken?" And before she rushes in by herself again, the actual main character pulls up. "Hey, remember to wear a parachute. We landing on the Twin Tower, right?" "Yeah." "Hey, wait, didn't they jumped out with no parachute, no glider, just straight up legs. This is the power of a 6-star operator." Amiya snipes the zombies with her AoE art while Blaze explode the floor to create a smokescreen. Now, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm pretty sure she couldn't do this in the game. Also, it actually took Amiya and the gang a whole lot of time to fly here. Like, they're not just around the corner. Think of it like Amiya flying from the middle of Russia all the way to China. It's at least a few hours. But anyways, they got to jumping immediately, and Blaze caused an unnecessary amount of collateral damage. Chen shoots a Kamehameha wave and deletes the zombies. This was when Mephisto truly tweaks out. For some reason, we didn't attack them here and ended up letting them escape. There's a joke I can make here. Fast forward some more after Amiya got hung up on again, we get to learn about these two's backstory. Basically, Mephisto's real name is Eno and Faustus Sasha. Eno used to be abused when he was a little kid, while Sasha is a homeless child. We then learned that Mephisto ended his bullies and family after becoming infected. Obviously, Faust was against this, but he decided to eat a crystal as well and join Mephisto. And the two were then later found by Tallulah. Cutting back to the present, we see Blaze as she contemplates fighting the infected for the city of London. Remember, these people are super racist towards the infected. But for now, she has a job to do. She then drops down a whole 30-story building and said, "You guys are about to get jumped by me and me alone." And obviously, homeboy ain't taking that disrespect. So he charges— shut up real quick. "I could burn your lungs off right now. And in fact, why don't we test that out?" Yeah, they put the surrender vote up immediately. Right after this, we finally got a moment of peace at this cute scene. But what they didn't show is the tension between these two, or lack thereof. Then we cut to Blaze saving this guy, who then skedaddled away after finding out that she was infected. We caught up to her, and I don't know if this is due to the website I watched on, but the subtitle really said, "Couldn't you have said something like, 'I tagged along because I just couldn't get you off my mind?'" Then right after walking around with her for a bit, she picked us up and started leaping entire skyscraper like it's nothing. Yeah, she's top tier waifu. Now we cut back to Amiya, and she's setting up a chokehold to block any incoming reunion. But then one dude started booking at us. But wait, why is he running? Out of nowhere, the zombies are starting to pile up, and unfortunately, they even got my man Ivan from season 1. The zombies are starting to attack their own allies, and Mephisto does not care. But Faust does. He went out on his own to try and save his own men. And here she goes, running off on her own again. This time, she ran into one of the coolest designed soldiers, the Black Raincoats. They're basically Black Ops soldiers with maxed out stats, and they're here to clean up the mess. They started to indiscriminately off anyone who's infected. Man, women, children, it don't matter. If you have a rock on your body, then consider booking an appointment with your god, because there's no convincing them. We go back to see Faust, and he has saved as many of his people as he can. Clearly, he's running on fumes now, and order his men to restrain Mephisto before he can make any more zombies. Faust's squad runs off while using the zombie as a cover, but Faust is overusing his arts. To protect his friends and comrade with the last of his strength, he sent his team away while drawing the zombie in a massive horde against the LGD. This whole segment here is beautifully animated and voiced, by the way. I freaking hated this kid, but even I was feeling what he's feeling. And with that, it was the end for Faust. His Phantom Squad honored his death by firing into the air. As Rhodes Island decide on we have to fight for them, Greythroat doesn't really have a reason to fight, which is why she looks lost right now. Now, fast forward a bit and we see Crownslayer in the slum with her team. Everyone is in low morale, already throwing up the surrender vote, still out. And he ended up shooting the team right in the sky. Almost gave her the Toji treatment. It was over at this point. Crownslayer gave up. So Kaze went over and basically told her to change her ways. And just like that, she popped the smoke and disappeared. Cutting back to the RI people, we see Greythroat helping an infected kid out. But turns out, so after that, they're probably thinking they're safe now. This guy is straight up dead. There's no reason for your arm to be giving each other high fives like that. Made up because it turns out Greythroat got Asperger or something. But now, remember how Chen abandoned Amiya back at Ursus? Well, we finally get to see what happened on Amiya's side. The Yeti squad have been chasing us all night. Now, they finally got us surrounded. But look at the doctor. Not even an ounce of worry. He said, "I got you where I want you." Blaze drops down from the helicopter again. At this point, she better switch her class to specialist with the way she's been heli-dropped. But with the massive heat and cold clash comes a massive explosion. Amiya tries to dig us out, but they had to deal with the Yeti first. Luckily, they had the same plan and called it a truce. Their big sister is trapped as well, and after talking to them a bit and realizing we both have money leaders, we realized that the Yeti squad is pretty chill. So we cut to Frostnova having a nightmare while we were trying to find a way out. She woke up and was like, "Why didn't you attack me?" I'll be honest, it took me all the effort to crack that glow stick. And after that, they talked for a bit. We learned that her body temperature is permanently below 0, so the act of touching her will literally give us frostbite. And the only thing that she has ever felt warmth from were these candy and her father. We ate the candy with her and realized that it's the equivalent of eating a Carolina Reaper. And now we get to hear her backstory. When she was a child, she had been forced into child labor by the Ursus government. The Yetis basically grew up with her and came to call her their big sister. But then one day, the government was like, "Let's end all these kids just because." And the only reason why they survived was because of the legendary warrior whose name I can't pronounce. But he's simply called the Patriot, her surrogate father. Now, Patriot is a very interesting character, and when they animate Season 3, I'll gladly talk about it. But for now, let's just say that in both the global and the CN lore, he is the LeBron James of Arknights. No matter the age, he's still the GOAT. But after this, we asked her why she would join Reunion, and she told us that Tallulah used to be a good person, but something had changed. Frostnova was definitely angry at her, and out of spite, told us Tallulah's next plan, which was to take over Lungman. But it doesn't seem to be going so well. Then finally, the lights started shining down on us. The Yetis and Amiya squad had finally freed us, and they went their separate ways, promising drinks with each other once they meet again. But before leaving, we attempt to recruit them, promising medicine and treatment, especially to Frostnova, who has had it the worst out of the other Yetis. But she declined, stating that she will only join us once we beat her. Now, fast forward back to the present, we see the Yetis helping the infected people escape the city. Mephisto is basically brain dead at this point, and the Black Coats are closing in on them. So Frost Nova had to pop the incantation, but her infection has been catching up to her. In an attempt to save their big sister, the Yetis decide to stay behind so that the Phantom Squad could carry her to safety. Obviously, Amiya didn't want to work with Lungmen anymore because they've been violating their contract. Chen agrees and said there's nothing I can do. There's some shadow government pulling the strings, and they've been using this opportunity to cleanse the slum. The Yetis shares one last drink with each other before heading into the fight. The Black Coats are simply too strong and fast. The last three were surrounded and finished off. Fast forward to Amiya and the gang now standing outside the boss gate. They're getting ready to turn Frost Nova into a playable character, and we even joined them this time. Which is probably why Calzid is mad at us. Those drones probably cost a couple $100,000. Time jumps 20 feet into the air to land an Ice Slash. She sees that same resolve in the young Tallulah before she had changed and wonder if things will be different this time. So, Frost Nova finally lets up. With the last few remaining breaths, we decide to stay and comfort her. Letting her pass on, Blaze and Kratos comes to understand one another better, and us carrying our new operator back to Rhodes Island. The Arknights anime had a lot going for it, and mind you, this was me condensing an already condensed anime. Sure, the pacing was off, animation falls sometimes, and heck, the last fight wasn't as epic as I hoped it to be, but what we got was way better than this. The voice acting was actually amazing. The anime looks beautiful in so many parts, and it gets the main story point across. You don't need to know what the character did during the trip over to Lungmen, which is why I can give the anime an 8 out of 10. As a casual enjoyer, it did enough to keep me on the edge of my seat, and to be fair, I do have some knowledge from the game that makes the anime feels even better. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below, and might as well subscribe if you made it this far. Also, next video is Sekiro. Thank you guys.